Welcome everyone to today's checkup for the upcoming battles for Raikou, Entei, and Suicune during the Dark Skies event. We'll be discussing the various counters for taking on these Johtonian beast Pokemon at length, their strengths, their weaknesses, and generally what to power up on these Pokemon to best utilize your Stardust and Max Particles. If you're new here, my name is Antarcticuno, otherwise known as the Dynamax Doctor, and I make videos discussing the finer details and mechanics for Dynamax battles. So, if that is of interest to you, please consider subscribing down below to stay up to date with the latest news and analysis. As always, here's a brief disclaimer about the damage calculation formula I use. While this formula is what Pokemon Go uses for its damage calculations, I'll be making some simplifications to attack and defense, since I can't really know your specific level, IVs, etc. And instead, we'll just be using the base attack and defense of your Pokemon and the boss Pokemon respectively. As part of the Dark Skies event, we'll be seeing Raikou, Entei, and Suicune return to power spots everywhere on August 21st and August 22nd. These Pokemon will not be spawning at all power spots, however, so you may have to drive around from power spot to properly hunt them. All three beasts have niches, making them gem picks in my view, capable of performing quite well under the right circumstances, but tend to be more of a luxury pick given the extreme quantity of resources needed to power them up. Similar to the Cantonian bird video, the Johto beasts will all be appearing concurrently. As such, my primary objective in today's team building video would be to build the most effective yet flexible team capable of battling all three beasts. If you want to hear my thoughts on why this strategy is advantageous, check out the Cantonian bird video linked above. Essentially though, it boils down to convenience in pivoting between Dynamax bosses while simultaneously minimizing the need to spend resources like Stardust or Max Particles on multiple Pokemon. On screen is a triple Venn diagram featuring the roles for attackers, tanks, and healers, along with placements for each of the Pokemon we'll discuss today into the roles that they fit best. This isn't to say that you can't try to make something like Snorlax an all-out offensive powerhouse, but that it tends to skew more heavily in the territory of healing and damage sponging. For the upcoming Dynamax battles, I'd recommend a team composition of at least one strong attacker and two tanks or healers. Unlike Gigantamax battles, 5-star Dynamax battles will only allow up to 4 players per lobby, so teamwork through skills like Max Guard, which draws aggro towards the tank, will be valuable. Let's dig in. To start us off, Kingler and its Gigantamax form make up the highlighted pick for today's video. This crustacean possesses a few unique qualities that afford it versatility in any of the 3 matchups. Against Raikou, it is a strong attacker, trailing the top attacker, Excadrill, by about 100 damage points. But what makes it shine here is the fact that both its Gigantamax and Dynamax forms are able to put up the same damage, so long as you can Elite TM Mudshot onto it. Against Entei, Gigantamax Kingler mostly keeps pace with the top attacker again, this time trailing Inteleon by a margin of about 60 damage. It also sports a decent 181 defense against Entei's attacks, which, for an attacker, may just allow you to squeeze some extra damage out of it. Against its arguably weakest matchup, Suicune, Kingler can still be used as a tank, fearing only the dog's fearsome Hydro Pump. Whether you have a Gigantamax Kingler or its more readily available Dynamax counterpart, this Pokemon can easily find its way onto a well-balanced team. As mentioned previously, Inteleon is the best attacker for Entei. In fact, Gigantamax Inteleon is just about the best attacker in the format, period. It's also able to put up solid damage against Raikou because of this. And, due to its mono-water typing, Inteleon can survive at least a hit or two from Entei and Suicune, which, looking at its paper-thin defensive stats, is really quite nice. Due to its status as the only ground-type Pokemon in the Dynamax format, Excadrill is the natural choice for Raikou hunters. On the offensive side, this shouldn't be surprising. A 255 attack stat powering a same type attack bonus Max Quake will leave Raikou and Entei in shambles. On the defensive side, Excadrill leaves much to be desired. It can tank against Raikou purely due to its ground typing, affording it a 60% damage reduction to electric attacks. Otherwise, Excadrill is really best kept as an attacker that can occasionally heal due to its high stamina stat. Speaking of attackers with a usable stamina stat, Rillaboom is another great choice, this time for Suicune hunters. It is the best attacker for Suicune and possesses moderate defensive stats, which allow it to sponge hits very well against the likes of Raikou and Suicune. For Gigantamax Rillaboom, you'll want to choose the fast attack Scratch due to its faster ability to charge up the Dynamax meter. But if you happen to be working with the Dynamax Rillaboom, be sure to change it up to Razor Leaf to ensure access to Max Overgrowth instead. Similar to some of the other attackers mentioned, Rillaboom has a usable stamina stat that allows it to heal teammates should you have the extra candy to invest into Max Spirit. Venusaur brings some interesting versatility to the table. It isn't the hardest hitting grass type, that title goes to Rillaboom. But due to its higher defense stat of 189, Venusaur does a better job tanking against Raikou and Suicune. Venusaur also has access to the fast attack Vine Whip, which is much better for both forms to be able to charge the max meter faster than Rillaboom can. This allows Venusaur to blend defensive and offensive roles equally, a trait that few other Pokemon possess. Latias is perhaps the quintessential tank for all three beasts. Despite having a few weaknesses, notably Raikou's Shadow Ball and Suicune's Ice Beam, Latias resists all other elemental attacks by virtue of its dragon typing. It possesses a great fast attack for charging up the Dynamax meter in Dragon Breath, and can retaliate with decent damage with its Max Wormwind attack, if you find yourself carrying over any shields between Dynamax phases. Realistically, Latias is only let down by its candy availability, so keep that in mind when building your team. Thankfully, Latias will also be returning for a brief stint in the Dark Skies event, returning to power spots globally on August 18th only. Shuckle is another great tank for all three dogs. Even in its worst matchups against Entei's Fire Blast and Overheat, or Suicune's Hydro Pump, a Shuckle with a fully leveled up guard skill shouldn't lose more than a shield each time it's attacked. This guarantee to survive and keep drawing aggro continues to be a major draw for Shuckle enthusiasts. Keep in mind that Shuckle does still have a few downsides, notably its pitiful offensive presence, lack of a speedy fast attack, and overall frailty when it doesn't have shields. Otherwise though, if you're looking for an all-around tank for your team, look no further than Shuckle. Zamazenta sports the second highest defense in the game, and excels as a tank because of it. Due to its steel typing, Zamazenta is seriously impeded in the Entei matchup, taking far too much damage from almost all of its attacks to be able to reliably perform its duties. That being said, it more than makes up for this in the Raikou and Suicune matchups, additionally providing coverage during the first phase of battle due to its ability to start the battle with shields, so long as Max Guard is unlocked. As with all legendary Pokemon, grinding candy can be difficult for Zamazenta. Thankfully, Zamazenta will be returning to raids during the Dark Skies event, so if you're looking to further bolster your Zamazenta, raiding it when it returns may be required. Blissey is, as always, a great healer for all three beasts. Outside of that, however, your mileage will vary. Its attacks are paltry and honestly borderline a waste of time during max phase. Due to its middling defenses, it also can't reliably tank with its shields fully breaking against certain moves like Overheat. Where I see Blissey being usable for players is if you decide to chance it with random players, either in person or remotely, as you won't be able to coordinate tanking strategies as easily. In these situations, it's more of an every man for himself mentality, and what matters most is preserving your attacker in the back for as long as possible. And Blissey can do that with its mountain of HP. Similar to Blissey, Snorlax is a great healer for all three beasts. While it lacks the same scale HP-wise, Snorlax does differentiate itself with its access to a Gigantamax move in Gmax Replenish. This makes Snorlax a lot less passive and more versatile in battle. Nonetheless, the same caveats apply to Snorlax as they do to Blissey. It will not tank very well, as its shields will fully break against certain moves like Overheat. I'd recommend going with Snorlax if you need a healer that can occasionally do decent damage, or if you want to risk it with random players where having a Pokemon that can body several hits indiscriminately can be valuable. I hope you feel a bit more prepared for the upcoming return of Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. If you learned something or found anything surprising in today's video, drop a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe while you're at it. Till next time.